Their newfound freedom means that 7 of the starting 11 earn their living in Western Europe. There are 8 survivors from the 1990 World Cup squad, and 6 of the team played at Wembley just before going to Italy. And 2 men who come into all 3 of those categories are the West Ham goalkeeper Ludek Miklosko and number 10 Thomas Skuravi, who helped Genoa beat Liverpool in the UEFA Cup. Well, Skuravi will be initially marked by number 2 Martin Keown in England's 3-man centre-back system. Number 4 David Rocastle will operate as an advanced right back. Number 9 Nigel Clough will play just behind the 2 main strikers, who are number 8 Paul Motson and Mark Haitley, who hasn't started one for 5 years. But with Gary Lineker on the bench after his throat infection, the most capped player is John Barnes, who makes his 66th appearance for England today, and he's the one from whom perhaps the most is expected. So Czechoslovakia, wearing red shirts and white shorts, start the match playing from left to right. England in all blue. Number 2 here is Happel for the Czechs. He'll play wide on the right, tackled by Stuart Pearce. And Barnes, number 11, with licence to play from a midfield position and go forward into whatever spaces he can find. Number 7 is David Platt. And Motson gets an early touch, and here's Trevor Brooking.
Well, there's an opportunity, isn't there, for 2 or 3 new faces, particularly the striking pair. I think Mark Haitley and Paul Motson are 2 players who feel there is a striking place, I think, before the summer comes, and it's up to whoever perhaps takes the opportunity this evening that might put a place to Sweden. So I think it's that partnership I'm looking at more than most.
Number 4 here for the Czechs is Kula. Chance for David Seaman in goal for England to increase the competition on Chris Woods, who's been sub for both B team and A team over the last 2 days. This is Barnes. Oh, 2 good touches already, but he's given the ball away. Kubik for Czechoslovakia. Skuravi to his right. Des Walker goes for the tackle, but Kubik gets the shot in. As we saw in the World Cup, he's a dangerous customer when the ball's on his left foot. Number 9, Lubos Kubik, one of the players. Knoflicek is the other one. That's not him, by the way. Kubik and Knoflicek were the 2 players who Derby County showed an interest in when the late Robert Maxwell tried to lure them to the west. And Kubik does pack a punch in that left foot. Motson pulling out right, no surprise in that because he is comfortable in wide positions. Number 7 is Bilek for the Czechs, and now number 3 Kadlec joins the attack. Skuravi, oh, Kubik in loads of space, and good goalkeeping by David Seaman. But what about the gap there?
Well, of course, it is a problem, Skuravi's height, and there Martin Keown didn't have any chance, and fortunately it just flicked off his header rather than go square, because if it was square, Kubik had acres of space, and on his left foot I wouldn't have fancied being David Seaman.
And the check. And again a foul. And Keown is having quite a tormenting opening period here. He's mistiming his tackles, and the Czechs have possession again with Happel. Already Stuart Pearce setting the captain's example with some fine interceptions and some strong tackling. On the other flank, it's Rocastle. But that's straight to the Czech right-sided player, Happel. And here's Kubik. Good running by Knoflicek. Des Walker is his marker, but he shoved him. It's a free kick to Czechoslovakia.
Definitely a little nudge there in the back, and the wide position is a dangerous position to give away a free kick, because that's when they might be able to hit Skaravi.
Yes, and they've also brought Kadlec, the blonde lad, up from the back. Skaravi's there! Oh, what a good goal! He's turned a somersault, and he's turned the England defence too. That was whipped in, and England have gone a goal down after 20 minutes. And you'll see Skaravi come in here, and it goes in off the post.
Well, it's a great header, but it's much easier, to whip in crosses like this from those wide positions. That's why it was a dangerous position. And with his height and strength, even though he's got two defenders, the faintest of touches, and I don't think David Seaman saw it until it was beyond him.
Well, what a start for the Czechs, and it only reflects the opening 20 minutes in that Skaravi was proving a menace to Martin Keown in particular, and when Des Walker fouled his opponent, Knoflicek, as Trevor Brooking said, the Czechs were always going to look for one man, and they've gone in front. Cheers of the crowd greeting the announcement of the goal scorer. It's his 12th goal for Czechoslovakia, Skaravi, in 34 internationals. And now England have a free kick in a not dissimilar position. Stuart Pearce was the player brought down. That means that Keown will now come forward and position himself behind Haitley on the far side of the area. In fact, Platt is calling him in closer. Nigel Clough to take this. But nothing like as good as the one we saw at the other end, was it? Here's Mabbott. An up and under for David Platt and Mark Haitley. And Miklosko makes the catch, but was fouled.
Yes, that one, as you say, an up and under, good description. And Ludek Miklosko impressed everyone the last 2 years at West Ham. And he's such a dominating goalkeeper, something like that. Once he gets in position, that was always going to be his ball. And it'd be an interesting test now. I mean, Graham Taylor would be happy to go one down, but it's a sort of game then where he might learn a few things about the side.
I tell you what, they've got some good players, the Czechs. That's Nemecek. And here he is again, the sixth, the captain. Good football from midfield, experienced player. His 28th cap, Nemecek. And he showed there how you can get forward and initiate an attack and also be on the end of it. They're playing right at the top of their game at the moment, the Czechs, and England aren't quite sure how to cope with it. Pearce.
Because at the moment they haven't got a sort of holding man in midfield, such as a Paul Stewart, who's on the bench, and of course David Baddiel played in the B International yesterday, and that's the sort of person who could be picking up these midfield players running from deep, whereas at the moment you're having to rely on one of the three central defenders being alert to pick up the person coming from that position.
Well, I think the way the two teams were selected, we were looking for an attacking game, and it looks that way early on because both goals have been threatened. England's more so. They're one down, and they have a chance perhaps to put something right from a free kick of their own. I think the referee will get rather irritated if they take so long over the free kick. There seems no reason to me why it can't be taken. The Czechs are 10 yards away. Pearce, and it was harmless in the end.
Unfortunately for England, both free kicks in that sort of situation have been on the wrong side of the 18-yard box for a left-footed player. As you can see here, it was hardly a touch, and he just slipped on his standing foot and it bobbled past the post. Nigel Clough might have been better that side.
There would appear to be a slight disturbance behind the left-hand goal. I can tell you no more than that at the moment, but Certain people seem to be going up to the back of the stand there. We'll keep an eye on it as the play goes on with Cadlets. There are about 400 England followers here, as I said. Knoflicek. Keown gets the ball away, beautifully controlled by Barnes. And then Clough, a good pass out to Haitley here, up against Cadlets. Clough is now coming up behind him. Still Haitley, but he couldn't quite turn the defender. And in the end, he settled for a corner. You can see from those pictures that there is something going on at the back of that stand. But back on the pitch, John Barnes is going to take a corner for England. Keown facing him.
No, I don't think so.
And there's Haitley, Motson. Merson's header, in fact, went away from goal. This is Rocastle.
It was unlucky. It was a good header, and I'm not sure if the ball wouldn't have been heading perhaps just past the post, and there was a man on the line anyway, but Paul Merson trying to deflect it and got too firm a touch.
This is Knoflicek, who drew a defender across to earn that free kick which brought the goal. This time it's Mabbott marking him, and did rather better. Glonek shakes off Haitley. Hapal. Oh, what a lovely turn by Scaravi. He's having a fabulous opening half hour here, the Italian-based centre-forward. Full of good touches and aerial threat too. This is where Haitley was bypassed, and just look at this turn. They weren't tight enough on him, really.
And actually, the man who was on him was Paul Merson, who drifted back, and that was the problem. And it was a fine turn, but you know Scaravi wants it on his left foot, and unfortunately he didn't catch it there.
Yes, there's a forward in the defender's position there for England, you're absolutely right. And the Czechs have looked the more confident side in this opening period. Having said that, theirs is an established lineup. England is still doing a lot of fine-tuning, and players coming back into the scene, being tried out, and others absent, that should be said too. Here's Pearce, he's nearly always present. Haitley. This is Clough, trying to slide it into Haitley. Good play, David Platt. Pulled it back behind Haitley, but here's Motson! And there's the equaliser for England. And Paul Merson of Arsenal pops up in the right place. The ball came off a Czech player, but he kept the shot down. Miklosko, I think, got his hands to it, but it crept over the line. And after 27 minutes here in Prague, it's Czechoslovakia 1, England 1. Miklosko may not be too happy about that, but Merson will be delighted. Bilek. Well, both teams playing through midfield at the moment, and it's good to see. Lovely footwork from Kubik, and a nice ball too. This is Nemecek who made the run, and they've got a player in space on the far side, Knoflicek, and this is Hapal.
They break well, don't they? Certainly the number 9 Kubik in midfield, got a delightful left footer, and there Knoflicek, who alongside Scaravi just setting up Hapal to try and take out the camera, but those two up front, Knoflicek there sliding in to set up the shot, and Scaravi with the taller man are a good pairing.
This is Rocastle, and now it's Clough, 2 strikers ahead of him. Thought about going alone. So it's now Rocastle again, and Platt just slotting in to Rocastle's position. Merson, but that was short of David Platt. And it's Kubik. Ovanets. Kubik. Oh, what great play. And a super little ball for Kula. And Seaman scrambles it round the post from number 4, Karel Kula. But what a terrific piece of approach play by Kubik here, who has been the pick of the first half for me. Kula didn't get any real power on that, but Seaman just sort of scooped it out. It was a lovely ball. The Czechs have the corner, and Skuravi threatening to make a run to the near post again here. It's gone much deeper, but it was not quite what Kubik had in mind on that occasion. But he has been number 9 there, Lubos Kubik, someone to admire, Trevor.
Well, he got good balance, lovely vision. His weight of pass is excellent as well. I mean, it was the perfect through ball. Personally, I think Kula should have done better with the shot. He scuffed it a bit, which just bobbled it more towards David Seaman. Probably upset David Seaman as well. He couldn't quite time the save, but it was a lovely through ball.
It could so easily have been 2-1 to the Czechs there. This is a good, gifted, technical side they've got, Czechoslovakia. They're playing some sweet football on the ground. Bilek here. 6 is Nemecek. And Skuravi again, turned in by Happel. And England fully stretched. Barnes back to help. And Pearce, the captain, about to lead the team off at half-time. It's 1-1. England have come back well. But make no mistake about it, they're playing a good side here. Skuravi, the scorer for Czechoslovakia. Paul Merson, the equaliser for England. England start the second half with 2 changes. Lee Dixon is on at right back in place of David Rocastle, and Paul Stewart has come into the midfield wearing number 16 in place of Nigel Clough. Any comments on that, Trevor Brooking?
Well, I think possibly the first one, Lee Dixon coming on. David Rocastle wasn't finding it easy to adapt to that new role. And Paul Stewart, I think, in midfield, coming into that position we were talking about, perhaps just sitting in front of the sort of central defensive trio to make sure anyone who's running from deep will be picked up. And of course, it's a chance as well for him to show his form that he's been showing for Spurs for most of the season.
Yes, Dixon's wearing number 14, Stewart 16. It's his second appearance for the full England side, Paul Stewart. He had 23 minutes as a sub against Germany at the start of the season, you may remember. But rather longer today. Here's Nemecek, whose team are unchanged at this stage, although I know the Czech coach is intending to make some alterations later. Signal there to the England bench. I think there might be an injury to John Barnes. He pulled up there and waved across to the England staff.
If it is what it looks like, a hamstring he was pointed to, there's no point in him carrying on. And what an injury-ridden season he's had. It'll be a great shame.
And here's a break for Czechoslovakia. It's Knoflicek with Happel outside him. And Happel goes now for the shot. Oh dear! It's escaped the grasp of David Seaman, and Martin Keown scrambled it away from the post. And that threatened to be a nightmare moment for the England goalkeeper.
Well, it was a bad mistake because he was very wide here. It was only a half shot come cross, and one of those that normally he would take comfortably. It bobbles away, and for what must have been an agonising couple of seconds, weren't sure what was going to happen, then it just came back off the post and Keown hooked it away.
Yes, this is Happel's shot, and Seaman here is really having difficulty. I mean, it was agonising is the word, isn't it, before it was finally scrambled away. Meanwhile, Barnes is still hobbling on for the moment. This is Kula. Skarabi in a dangerous position in the centre. And a good challenge by Walker, but England here are going through a torrid time. The Czechs have got them on the rack. And it's another corner. Now, will the referee allow the substitution to be made first? John Barnes coming off, and what a pity that is to see him injured again after just 6 minutes of the second half, and his replacement is Tony Dorigo of Leeds United. Hovernets. That was good play by Stewart. He's put Motson in possession, and England badly need a little spell now in the Czech half to shake the cobwebs off. Here's Motson. Well, I know that there is competition between the goalkeepers, but that particular moment in the game won't have done David Seaman's case any good at all in his bid to claim the position from Chris Woods. It really was, to say the least, an over-anxious piece of goalkeeping and a mistake that could so easily have made it 2-1 to the Czechs. Czechoslavakia.
Very good.
Flat.
Because, of course, John Barnes' injury, apart from being terrible bad luck for him after an Achilles calf and now a hamstring, which could keep him out of Liverpool's semi-final, does give England a little bit of a lopsided look, because they've taken Clough and Rocastle, who could both have played midfield, and of course now had to bring on Tony Dorigo, who's filling up a midfield role.
I want to make the point here again that the two managers have agreed that they can have anything up to 5 substitutions today, so Graham Taylor will be quite pleased now that he agreed to that. Having used 2 at half-time, he's now got a 3rd on. This is a good spell for the Czechs, though, it really is. And here's Skarabi. But he couldn't find a colleague. It was, again, brilliantly set up by Kubik, the number 9. Motson. Dixon. I'll tell you what, Trevor, a lot's been said about French football and whether Waddle and Trevor Stevens should be in the England party. Kubik, the number 9, plays for Metz in France, and they say he was too lazy when he played in Italy, but he hasn't been lazy today, has he?
No, he's had in the first 45 minutes, probably too much space, but then there was no sort of particular ball marker. In this second 45 minutes, Paul Stewart is doing a specific job on him and has denied him that little bit of space, but they've got so much good movement off the ball and their confidence naturally growing at the moment.
And he's over there again now, is Kubik. Dorigo, left-footed, obviously not playing at left-back because they've already got Pearce there, but he will be able to support Pearce on that left-hand side, which is what they're doing at the moment. Here's Motson, and Pearce given the freedom to go by Dorigo's presence, and David Platt, a great run into the area here. Pearce couldn't find him. The longer cross looks for Haitley, and he's leaning over his opponent.
Yeah, the new formation should give David Platt a little bit more leeway to get forward, because when you had John Barnes and Nigel Clough ahead of him, I think he felt he should hold that much more, as well as being man-marked by Kula. But now with Tony Dorigo and Paul Stewart behind him, he should have the confidence to make those late runs where he can get perhaps goal-scoring opportunity.
Well, I have to report it's a most enjoyable match to watch. There's nothing defensive or cagey about this international, I can tell you. And the Czechs threatening to come on even stronger now. 7, Michael Bielek. Nemecek. Tucked back into Bielek. Offside. Offside against Kula. I don't know whether that sawdust in the goal mouth has affected David Seaman at all. It's a sanded area inside the 6-yard box, but certainly he'll want to forget that moment when the ball went through his hands. Here's Paul Stewart. Oops, that was a reckless tackle by Pavel Happel. And the Austrian referee gives it the call it, as the Czechs warm up 1 or 2 replacements. That's Frydek on the left and Nemec on the right. That's Haitley, but he can't direct the header to a blue shirt. Forward by Stewart, and he can't direct the pass to one either. Kubik. Oh, good running by Nemec to his right, took a couple of England players away, and Kubik turning and slotting it through to Kular. This is Happel, number 2. And it took 2 England players, Pearce and Walker, to force that ball out for a corner. And again, the tall figure of Skuravi threatens. Nemecek's there, oh, it's in! I don't know whether Nemecek even got a touch. I think it went straight in from the corner. Well, Joseph Hovernets took the corner with his left foot and he cut it into the near post area. Nemecek didn't get a touch. Maybe an England player through the goalkeeper, but Hovernets has to get the credit for putting Czechoslovakia 2-1 up. So England now coming from behind for the 2nd time in the match. And with a much reshuffled team, it should be said. Nothing like the formation that started now, really. Well, the formation might be, the personnel isn't.
Interesting, Tony Dorigo coming on. I just wonder if Gary Lineker, who of course is on the bench, is still feeling the effects of tonsillitis, because he might have been perhaps the better placed player now to come on, especially if they find themselves a goal behind.
Well, here's Motson, who put things right the first time. 14 is Lee Dixon. Haitley's on the end of this, but couldn't direct it back inside to Platt. Yes, that point about Lineker is worth thinking about, isn't it? I mean, you'd think with England 2-1 down, you'd need your top goal scorer on, but having said that, Merson's done absolutely nothing wrong, and it may be that Graham Taylor wants to have a longer look at Haitley.
The only thing you could... Paul Merson is an adaptable one, and he could play up with Lineker up with Haitley, and Merson sort of float around behind that and add the 3rd man up front.
Yes, that's right. Well, we'll see if he does. For the moment, England have a chance anyway. Oh, and it's the equaliser. Martin Keown. Well, number 2, Martin Keown, comes here and produces a goal out of nothing. It's a super shot, this, for his first international goal by the Everton defender. And for once, the Czechs are rocked back on their heels. Miklosko puts an arm up and can't possibly do anything about it. And Keown has equalised for England after 65 minutes. It's 2-2. And we are going to see Gary Lineker. Haitley's there. Dorigo's there. Oh, and well held on by the keeper. They weren't very pleased with the follow-up challenge. Paul Stewart in the thick of it there. Tony Dorigo latching onto a knockback from Mark Haitley. Ludok McCloskey did magnificently well to hold on to that. And here's the substitution that brings England's second highest scorer ever onto the pitch. It's Gary Lineker for Gary Mabbott, a Tottenham switch if you like. Lineker with 2 goals to get to equal Bobby Charlton's record of 49 comes on with about 18 minutes of this match left. Skuravi causing havoc again, and Seaman puts the ball out, and it's back in the goalkeeper's arms from Happel, who probably should have done better in that position. Well, the game moves so fast, there's hardly time to dwell on that. The Czechs are in possession again with Kadlec. And here's Skuravi stretching Walker. Did he foul him? The whistle's gone. And Skuravi is unsettling England again.
Well, now there's no cover, of course, with the sweeper, so Martin Keown and Des Walker are at times 1 against 1. The first one, he just got the wrong side of Keown. On that occasion, he definitely gave a nudge to Des Walker. This is the one where he got the wrong side, and as you can see, tried to loop it over Happel, but luckily, relief with David Seaman straight into his chest.
It looks at this stage as though England are going to come out of this very testing arena with a draw, which is exactly how it ends. A fine match for the spectator. Czechoslovakia proving to be one of the stronger European nations with some excellent technical players, and England twice dug themselves out of difficulties here in Prague.
You said you're going to experiment. What did you learn from tonight's experiment?
Well, I mean, I think that more than anything else, I mean, Paul Merson has played his first full international. Mark Haitley has been brought back after 4 years. Martin Keown's only playing his second one, and we've played a very good side. I mean, I said at the time that when I saw them play against France, when they were 5 players short themselves, if they'd had those 5 players, which they had tonight, then I think perhaps the result against France might have been a different one, and who knows, Czechoslovakia may have been in the European Nations Cup as they were in the World Cup, and I think they're a good side. So today we were chasing a little bit. I felt that we were outbossed in midfield, and that created a lot of problems for us. But that's what experiment's about. I mean, I've said this all of the time, there's no point in not making experiments and then assuming that when you do make them, you're going to control every game. That's not going to be the case, and you do take these risks. We've had the draw today, and that's fair enough, but it's part and parcel of looking at things in readiness for the summer.
Were you conscious this was a big opportunity, a big chance for you?
Yeah, it was a big chance. Like the bosses give everybody a chance, and he's given me a chance tonight, and hopefully I've took it.
There is a place going that could be for Sweden. You're trying to book it this evening and trying to make sure you can get yourself in his thinking firmly.
Yeah, everybody is, you know. But, you know, I had to try and do my best tonight, and the goals helped, and hopefully I'll be in the next squad, and you never know, I might sneak in. I don't know.
The game kept slipping away from us, and they got their noses in front. But, you know, it was nice to get back on level terms. But, you know, it was a seesaw-type game, and a few things to work on.
They were a handful, the Czech forwards at times, weren't they?
They were, yes. You know, they seemed to have acres of space to play in, and the lad up front's a strong lad, and was able to use his body well. But, you know, he scored one and I scored one, so, you know, I feel as if, he hasn't come out on top.
You watched the cricket this morning, so what was the day like for England overall, do you think?
All right, we've been in a World Cup final at cricket, all right. We lost it. I think we lost it to the better side. I think Pakistan played extremely well. And at this supposed level, you're not supposed to say those things. You're supposed to say what's right. I mean,
there's no time for pottering around, because we need our search to be of the highest standard. So it's onwards and upwards to ensure we sail away with maximum profit. In double quick time, Mandy and I have laid hands on a mysterious curio.
What's this then, Mandy?
I don't know.
Well, it looks like it's got something to do with printing, because there's like things on there, aren't there? So I don't know how it works. Let's see if Paul knows. Paul?
Yeah?
We found something to do with printing. I've no idea.
Oh, it looks like a heck of a weight, doesn't it? Oh, this is called the Adana. It's a parlour printer. Have you heard of that before? No. A parlour printer. Well, it's your first really home printing mechanism. And what you would do, you'd have a series of letters in a box. and you actually place each letter in a roll. Press this down, and it rubs against the ink, and then on the piece of paper there would have your impression, or your mark, if you like.
So what's its value? Can we resell it?
Well, I'd ask £25–30, and it sounds
Crikey.
reasonable enough, I think.
Yeah,
It's not
fantastic.
bad at all, is it?
No, excellent.
Well, now that that's got the stamp of approval, let's see what else we can make our mark on, shall we? Come on.
This early domestic press could be a licence to print money and get our fund running for between £25 and £30. The rummage has started well, and the boys are pitching in, sparing no effort in the search for